Okay, be strategic. Now this seems, again, sort of obvious, but I find that I have to really be conscious of telling people to actually sit down and write out a plan. So the first thing is, know what you need to know. So licensure is done by state, so know what your state needs to have for you to get licensed. Know the process. Every state is subtly different. For the most part, they're all pretty close these days. It wasn't that long ago that they were quite different, but now they're all sort of pretty similar. So know what's needed. Know how the rolling clocks work. Know that you've got all your paperwork all aligned, that you've got your transcripts in the right place. So you just kind of get all that stuff so you can focus on the real part. But the other thing is, like, make a real plan. So, all right, I'm going to give you a quick example here. So I talked to somebody, this was a few years back, and she said to me, all right, I've made this plan. She had this whole grid out, and she said, on Sundays, I'm going to watch videos in the morning, and then I'm going to do reading in the afternoon, and then I'm going to do flashcards after dinner. So flashcards and then reading. And then on the train ride in, I'm going to do videos, and then at lunch I'm going to do some reading, and then they're working at these other times. And then there's going to be videos after they have dinner, and then flashcards at night. And then that went all the way through the whole week. And then on Saturday, they were going to do whatever it was. And they had a couple different things. And then the flashcards again. And I looked at this and I said, do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a family? Do you this is not a plan. This is a recipe for failure. You're going to go through 1 week of this and you're going to miss a whole bunch of these moments. And you're going to feel like, oh God, it's not working, right? That's not the way to be, right? Find a plan that makes sense to you, that works to you. Think about it realistically. Like, maybe you watched all the shows on Sunday night, so you want to leave that open. Maybe you like Sunday brunch. Okay, maybe you keep a couple of hours on Sunday. So, okay, we're going to keep that one. Maybe we really like the idea of doing videos on Tuesday and Thursdays on the commutes. And then maybe on Monday and Wednesday, we're going to do some reading. And then we're going to find some reading time in these other spots. And then maybe we're going to keep Friday completely open. And then maybe we leave Saturday night completely open. Right? Find something that's going to actually be believable for your schedule. Right? So you're making something that's actually going to work for you. Don't make something unrealistic and then feel bad about it. Right? That's actually part of that whole don't panic thing. Don't create situations for yourself that you can't then sort of follow through with. And then equally, sort of think through, be strategic about how you're going to take the exams. So I'll give you one example. A former student of mine, friend of mine, Charlie Kletcha, who a couple years ago was the AIAS president, decided he was going to take 7 exams in 7 days. So he had all of those exams, and he started about 3 months, I believe, before, and studied for all of the exams for the 3 months. Well, okay, that's an interesting way to go. Not everybody is going to have the sort of mental capacity for that, and it's a little intense, but it's doable. He did it, and that's fine. Maybe somebody else, maybe what you want to do is maybe you're going to study for a month, and then you're going to take 1 exam, and then you're going to study for another month, and you're going to take another exam, and then you're going to take a month off, and then you're going to do it again. You're going to study for a month and take 1 exam, right? Is that what would work for you, right? Well, maybe you can see we could do this forever, right? So find the pattern that makes sense for you, that leaves open your real life, that gives you space and room to really be able to hit this full stream. And there's nothing wrong with doing them 2 at a time or 3 at a time or something. Some of these actually go together quite well. Other ones are really more standalone, and you can decide maybe I do those separately. So think it through and have a game plan, because that's going to be hugely important for you as you go through. So knowing your resources and then finding a way to sort of play it out.
And this is really useful, Mike. One thought. So Clay's going to share this in the chat box. He's going to share a link to, we have this sort of 6-month study plan, which takes a shot at kind of breaking down all the content that we have in our exam prep, and breaks it down into how you might, get through that in 6 months. If you decided you wanted to pass one exam, let's say, or take one exam every month. So something you can use as sort of a starting point. But this is really a good insight, Mike.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things. Remember, this is where I get to say, when I was your age,
yeah, you always want to get one of those out, don't
you? When back in the day, I took it the last time it was a pencil and paper exam in the mid '90s, and we took 4 exams, or excuse me, I think it was 9 exams at that time. It may have been 8, but I think it was 9 exams. We took them in 4 days. And so you studied a whole bunch, and then you took them, and you either passed or you didn't. You waited a year to take it again. Like, if everybody who's the sort of upper management all were able to take all of their exams in 4 straight days, you can do it in 4 months or 5 months or 10 months or whatever it is. You might choose, instead of waiting a month, maybe you do it every week for a while and sort of test it out. And the other key thing to understand about being strategic and making a plan is you make the plan in order to start, but then you reanalyze it. You go through a couple of weeks of it, try it out. You take one, like maybe you need to take time off after every exam because that's just how you are, right? So make a plan, then be willing to change that plan if that's what's necessary.
And I'll just say, guys, one of the reasons why this is such a good insight is I think the biggest kind of thing we hear from people who are having a hard time getting through the exams is the fact that you can take them whenever you want. Yeah. And people get distracted and they kind of make a plan and then they sort of forget about a plan and then they never get back to it.
Their friend's getting married and so they put it off, and then you got that big project, and you're always going to have your friend getting married. You're always going to have a big project. It's just how it goes. Yeah. So you have to actually sort of stick to something. Yeah.
I can't recommend it enough. Make a commitment to yourself about getting through the exams, and then stick to it as best you can. That's the biggest problem we hear.
Yeah, and you're not trying to berate yourself. You're just trying to give yourself a tool, right? Yeah.